vision, leadership, workplace-related topics. The Voices of Victory podcast show. Subscribe today. Let's go.
Vision, leadership, self-esteem, workplace-related topics.
Subscribe.
The Voices of Victory podcast show.
Voices of Victory.
Vision,
Voices of Victory.
leadership,
Voices of Victory.
workplace-related topics.
The Voices of Victory.
Voices of Victory. Voices of Victory. Voices of Victory.
It's time for the show. You are now listening to the Voices of Victory podcast show.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mario Di Leone.
Hello and welcome to the Voices of Victory podcast. I am your host, Mario Di Leone, and today we're going to talk about the habit of rushing. What happens when you rush? Why does taking time actually matter? Why is it so important? So I want to talk to you about something that might be happening in your life right now. Rushing through things. You know, when you try to get things done super fast without really thinking or taking the time out to do something to the total 100%. And to me, it's all about getting to that 100%, doing things to the 100%. It can feel great in a moment. It can feel like you're speeding through the day. But in the long run, it can actually cause some tough things for your future. Let's take a good look at why rushing is never the best choice and how taking your time can help you really grow. And that's the thing. It's not about the finish line. It's about growing, because human beings are growing, shaping, and changing. That's what it's all about. But what happens when you actually rush? When you rush through things just so you can play your video games afterwards, or maybe rush through your schoolwork, or even everyday tasks like washing the dishes? Well, you might miss out on really understanding what you're actually doing. So just imagine this. Imagine this for a moment. Imagine trying to finish a puzzle quickly, but you don't stop to look at the pieces carefully. So you might end up with a puzzle that maybe doesn't fit right together. Well, the same thing happens in life if you rush through something. You might actually make mistakes or leave things incomplete without realizing. So what happens is you create a habit of incompletion. And when you have a habit of incompletion, then everything you approach or do will be 50%. We're not working to the total. Always complete things to the total. The total is 100%. So when you complete things, that's a habit. So think about it this way, like being late, for example, when people are late to something and people are on time. I always say being late is a habit like being on time is. Well, finishing things 50% is a habit like finishing things 100%. It becomes that same habit. So here's where it all comes in. Here's what happens. When you rush, your brain doesn't have time. It doesn't have time that it needs to think things through. Instead of focusing and solving problems carefully, your mind is trying to get to the finish line, trying to get to the end as fast as possible. But here's what happens. Over time, this becomes a habit, because doing things 100% is a habit like doing things 50% is. So you start believing that doing things fast is always the right way, that you could always take a shortcut. But here's the truth. Rushing actually makes it harder for your mind to learn things at 100%, to actually do the entire puzzle and get all of it done. You also lose that sense of completion, that sense of accomplishment. To feel good, there's a big, beautiful thing about feeling good once you've completed something. You get to celebrate your wins. Well, let's say you are building a puzzle, and let's say you work on it for 10 minutes, and then you stop. Well, that's okay, but you have to get back to the puzzle. if you complete just a little bit of the puzzle, you can celebrate that as a win. But you have to keep on going. And when you complete a little bit more, you can stop and celebrate again. And when you complete a little bit more, you can stop and celebrate again. And when you hit the end, you can have the biggest celebration of them all. And now it's time for some video games after that, right? And remember to enjoy the process. Be in the process. That's the thing. Avoid the ending. Avoid the beginning. Be doing. Get in the doing mindset. Because if we are always looking for the easy way, taking shortcuts all the time, whether it's getting to the end of a puzzle faster or finding an easy way out of a challenge at school, but if we look for the easy way out every time, we may not be learning fully. We have to learn fully, because when you become an adult, you will have the same habits you did when you were a child, meaning that you'll complete things halfway all the time. And that can actually wind up being a bigger problem. It's like playing a video game and always choosing the easy mode. You miss out on the fun experience. You miss out on growing of your skills and being able to practice a new technique in that game. When we don't take the time to think things through, you may feel frustrated or unsure about the things that used to be easy for you. That's because you maybe haven't practiced patience or problem solving or focus on being in the moment. Be doing. See, we have the future and we have the past, but when you're doing the puzzle, that's in the present. That's where the power is. And over time, if we're always thinking about the finish line and the end, this can make you feel like you can't handle a challenge or learning things is just too hard. It's always going to feel like it's hard, it's too difficult. Why is it too difficult? Because you have to see everything all the way through. You must go to the total. Go to the 100%. Practice completion. Think of completing things as a practice because you're going to need it in life, in your entire life. It impacts your entire adult future. So listening and taking your time is important. And what you could do or should do instead is taking your time to really hear. We have 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. But why? Why should we do that? Because when we take our time to think, we allow our mind, our brain, to connect to ideas and solve problems and actually enjoy the process of learning. And guess what? Listening to others, whether it's your teachers, your friends, maybe your parents, it helps you grow and get better at everything you do. So that's the thing. We have 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. So when you listen, you take in important information that can help you make smart decisions, especially when things get tricky. I want you to think about it this way, a great way to understand it. Always find a way to understand others before you are understood. Let me say that again. Always find a way to understand others before you are understood. Because that's what happens when we rush. When we rush through conversations, we may not hear everything. And we may hear a part of the story, and we may miss a part of that story and not fully understand. So if you rush, you may miss out on some key details, some small little bits and pieces of the puzzle that can help everything be so much clearer. So just imagine if you tried to run a race without looking at the path in front of you. You could stumble, you could fall, you could hurt yourself. And if you stop halfway through the race, you never gave yourself a chance to really feel good about getting to the finish line. But if you listen and think and take your time, you'll be able to see the full picture and make the best choices for yourself. But what happens if you keep rushing? What happens if you always do things halfway? If we continue to rush through everything, that habit can affect our self-esteem. We no longer feel good about ourselves. We lose confidence. It may even hurt our relationships with the people that we love. And you may feel overwhelmed, like you're always behind or always can't do it. So you could feel like you're not doing your best, and that could be discouraging. But we have to do our best. We have to give it the 100%. We have to work to the total of 100%. And the more you rush becomes a pattern, a habit, something that happens all the time. And you may never be satisfied with what you do because you never gave yourself a chance. And we have to be kind to ourselves and give ourselves a chance. And that can make you feel like you're not getting anywhere. If you don't give yourself a chance, if you don't complete things, you're going to always feel like you're never moving fast or far enough. And it feels like you're putting in the effort, but not really seeing anything happen. And you know what happens? You get frustrated. We get tired. We get upset because we don't see results fast enough. We don't see what's happening on the finish line. But here's the good news. You can change this. It takes practicing. To be in the moment is to be doing. Not worried about the future, not worried about the past, but be doing. And we start by slowing down. We take one step at a time. We really think about the process. We are in the moment. Because when you play a video game, you're in the moment. But when you're doing work, you could also be in the moment. It's okay to ask questions. It's okay to take breaks, but you have to keep going. You have to listen carefully to what other people are saying because these are habits that will help you build confidence. It's all about feeling confident and having pride in what you do. To have pride in what you do is kind of like celebrating that you've achieved something. So it might happen in a video game where you defeat a level or beat a big boss, and suddenly you can feel that. You can have pride that I did it. I was able to do it. I did it. That's what pride is. Taking that pride in what you've done and saying, I did it. Feeling good about what you did. Well, when you're putting a puzzle together or doing some homework, you could also say, I did it. And that's the thing. We have to start slowing down. So here are some simple steps. First of all, breathe deep and breathe fully. You should feel your lungs expand fully because this helps your brain relax and think clearly. So we focus on one thing at a time. If there's a lot of steps, start with step one and keep going until step one is done. Because if you try to do everything at once, it can make it harder to do things well. Ask questions. When something doesn't make sense, listen and ask questions. Because this shows your strength, how strong you can be, not weakness. Give yourself that time to think before jumping to conclusions. You don't want to rush through your homework. See it all the way through. Be patient with yourself. Not just patient with your homework, patient with yourself, patience with you. It's okay to take the time. You're going to make mistakes, but those mistakes are learning nuggets. They're like chicken nuggets. They're little insights, little pieces of wisdom that make you smarter. So mistakes help you learn. So here's the final thought. Remember that rushing through your life might feel like you're moving fast, but slowing down and giving yourself the chance to think is important. You have to listen, you have to learn, and you got to build real skills and confidence. The only way to build confidence is to see things all the way through. Because finishing things at 50% is a habit like finishing things at 100%. Finishing things halfway is a habit like completing things is. And the more you practice completing things, the more your confidence will become stronger, better, faster. And the more you'll realize how much you can do. You'll start to believe in yourself when you complete things. When you complete what you've done, you will start to believe in yourself. And that will last you a lifetime. So don't rush, take it one step at a time, and watch how much stronger and smarter you'll become. You've got this. And before you play those video games, go complete something. complete your homework. Have a great day. Take care.